The Atlanta Braves finish off the first half of the season with a big series win in San Diego, and they get a big draft pick on Sunday night, getting Cam Caminiti, who falls to them at 24. We'll discuss all that. Also, get into our minor league segment of Minors Monday. All that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there as well at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. If you're new, watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, that thumbs up button as well, so others can find us here at Locked On Braves. You're listening to the audio version. Thank you so much as well. If you would, leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. That's just one way you can help support me here at Locked On Braves. Another way you can do that, let me know that you're an everydayer. I'd appreciate hearing that from you in the comments section on YouTube or on social media. Thank you so much for that. Also, if you would, utilize one of our great sponsors. It's another way to help support us here at Locked On Braves. Got a lot to cover on today's podcast. We'll talk about the series finale in San Diego and wrap up that whole series in general. We got the MLB Draft to cover, where the Braves got a steal in the first round. And we got our Minors Monday segment as well, where you're going to see all this pitching that they've been drafting, what it is doing at the minor league level. And what it's doing is pretty fantastic. So we'll discuss all that on today's episode. But this episode of Locked On Braves is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even Philadelphia. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Well, if you're listening and you're up with me recording late, I'm doing this at about midnight, past midnight is Eastern here. But I wanted to bring you, for those who are waking up early listening to that, I wanted to do this for you so you can wake up and get all the coverage you need on the first two picks for the Braves in the MLB Draft, which we will be doing today. But big shout out to all those who are still awake. I know Doc's Cards, he's on the West Coast listening. We got Darren Dunn, Wairu Sinpod, Jeffrey Humphreys, Patrick McCarthy, Patrick Rosser, Austin Perez, Braves Thrills. Again, thank you so much for joining me here at late night on Sunday. Let's start with the highlights from the weekend. The Braves get a series win over the Padres, a team that is in it, a team that is certainly capable, as they beat the Braves in Atlanta in a 4-game series. And the Braves get a series win, and they end the road trip 4-3. I think most people going in would have taken that. It feels like should have been more, could have been better. Certainly losing that finale in Arizona is one that really stings, as you lost it 1-0. Max Fried gave you a really good game, and the offense just couldn't do anything. So certainly felt like you left one on the table there. But for the most part, Braves have been playing better baseball lately. The offense in particular has been playing better lately. And you finished the first half 11 games over 500. And look, I get it. I'm not going to try to sit here and act like this is a team that is playing like they're 10 games above 500. They're not. They've been a 500 team since the end of April. That's pretty much what they've been. And they're really living off of the great start that they had to the season. But let's also not ignore the fact that they lost Spencer Strider. They lost Ron Acuna Jr. They were without Austin Riley for a couple of weeks. Once he started to get going, struggled coming back, and now he is looking like that guy again. They've lost Michael Harris for a time, and he was struggling before getting injured. Ozzie Albies has been out for some time this season. Sean Murphy was out for 2 months this year. You're starting catcher. So, again, it's not been an ideal first half. And even with all those injuries, I still feel like there's enough talent here that they should have played better than they did in the first half. And look, not a conspiracy theory. Home runs have been down. They're starting to pick back up, but home runs have been down across baseball, not just with the Braves. So all that going against them, again, I'm not trying to applaud them for playing basically 500 baseball for the last 2.5 months, but they've been able to survive all of that, get to the All-Star break, still 11 games over 500 with a really firm grasp on a wild card spot. And again, you're just hoping, banking on things being much better the second half of the season. And again, you finished the first half strong with a winning road trip, even though felt like, again, should have been a little bit better. The offense in particular has really picked things up as of late. They've scored 5 runs or more in 8 of their last 10 games going into the All-Star break. Home runs seems to be back. That was the case on Sunday. Travis d'Arnaud with 2 of them in this game, including a huge 3-run homer that kind of put the game away, but then he hit another solo shot later just for good measure to really put the game away after the Padres had gotten back into it. So I know those 2 games where they didn't score 5 or more, they got shut out. And so that's still painful, the inconsistency. But again, 8 out of 10 games, if they're going to score 5 or more runs, I like the Braves' chances to win, 7 of those with the pitching staff right now. So again, I really like the direction that the offense is going. It has been much better lately, and they've started to get rewarded a lot more with the home run ball. So that's good to see, and hopefully carries into the second half. On the pitching side of things, on Sunday in particular, Chris Sale, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, just 4 strikeouts, only 79 pitches, assuming they took him out early because you had your top guys in the bullpen ready to go. You had a pretty nice lead at that point, so why not save Chris Sale? But I would like to see Chris Sale pitch 1 more inning. But again, you had all your relievers set to go. Got a little dicey as A.J. Minter struggled a little bit, gave up a 2-run home run to make it a 5-3 game and put the Padres back in it. But Jimenez, Johnson, Iglesias, they were all solid. And to me, those are your 3 guys. And look, Jimenez, we've talked about it. He's better against lefties. So while you don't necessarily have a lefty right now that you just completely trust, although I think A.J. Minter will get back to it, at least you do have a guy in Jimenez that has been good against lefties, and so you can use him in those situations. But again, I think Minter will be fine, and those will be your 4 guys going down the stretch in the bullpen. The defense, I got to mention as well, Austin Riley with a huge play at third base to save 2 runs on Sunday. Again, the game on Saturday, frustrating, just too many strikeouts against Dylan Cease, and it's just, some inconsistency still with this offense being able to score without the home run. But again, home runs are back in play, and they've been getting more of that. So love to see the way this team is going, and again, finishing the first half strong. But let's get into the MLB draft. We're going to spend some time on this 24th pick in the draft. First round, the Braves take left-handed high school pitcher out of Arizona, Cam Caminiti. And that name is familiar as he is the cousin of Ken Caminiti and just 17 years old. He reclassified to be in this draft, so he's young for this draft. Teams like that, as again, you get him a little bit younger and start to develop him a little bit more. Was the highest ranked high school pitcher according to MLB Pipeline. So again, you're picking 24th in the draft and you're getting the highest ranked high school pitching prospect. That's pretty good for the Atlanta Braves. He's somebody I really didn't focus on a lot, kind of like with Waldrop last year, because I didn't think he would be available for the Braves at 24, but he was. Something else you really like about Caminiti and something the Braves have been targeting, he's an athletic guy. Played two-way player in high school, which everybody plays two-way at high school, but was a prospect for both ways. Was a bit of prospect as a hitter and a pitcher, but certainly will be going on the pitching side of things for the Braves. 119 strikeouts in 52 2/3 innings in high school. And again, he was playing as a younger player, reclassifying to go in the draft earlier. He sits mid-90s, but can touch 98, and obviously some room to grow. Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona. So this is a very exciting pick. It is a high school arm, and those can be very tricky for anybody. But obviously, a lot of upside there for Caminiti, and I think it was a player the Braves probably didn't expect to be there, but a guy that once he fell to them, they just had to take their chance there to get him. Now, what this is going to mean, and I've seen some people say if the Braves can sign him, the Braves are going to sign him. You don't make this pick if you don't believe you're going to sign him. And talks and indications afterward from Cam himself said that he's probably going to sign pretty soon. So I think that's obviously going to happen. The question is, how much do the Braves have to pay up here? Because again, you are talking about a guy that was projected to go in the mid-teens. He slides down 10 picks from that. So you're maybe going to have to go over slot to get him. And if they do, and then depending on how much, that really could affect the rest of your draft. But again, you got a chance to go out and get a big talent like this. You certainly have to take it, even if that means maybe the rest of the draft isn't quite as good as you were hoping it might be. So Cam Caminiti, I'm probably going to mess that up and say Ken Caminiti a lot of times going forward, but Cam Caminiti is the pick at 24th overall. High upside arm out of high school, young player for the draft. Really big stuff, a lot of potential, a lot to dream about. So can't wait to see what he does in the Braves farm system. They also made their 62nd pick on Sunday night. And this one, not quite as exciting, but again, maybe because of the pick that you had to make in the first round and getting Caminiti and what you might have to pay him is why the Braves went with Carter Holton with their second pick of the draft. And we'll talk more about him here next. This episode of Locked On Braves is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival's city. And again, you got the All-Star break coming up as well in Texas. Maybe you want to ship out there for the All-Star game. Maybe you're a huge Max Fried fan, and now that he's in there, you want to get out there to Texas to support him. Make your plans through Booking.com. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. If you enjoy listening to sports all day in the background, probably have plenty of coverage of the MLB Draft, make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day with the biggest stories from all the major sports. And again, you can find that on YouTube or on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We already got over 50 people with us as we are recording very late on Sunday night. Thank you so much for staying up here with me. It is the All-Star break, so won't have a lot to talk about this week, but we'll dive deep into the MLB Draft for the next 2 days. We'll also probably do some more trade speculation and content as we gear up for that as well and get you set up for the second half of the season. But let's jump back into the draft because it's 62nd overall. The Braves take Carter Holton, another left-handed pitcher, and this one a college pitcher out of Vanderbilt, a little undersized at 5'11", a low to mid-90s fastball. His secondaries are what made him so special early in his career in Vanderbilt. And look, I cover the SEC, so I've seen Carter Holton a lot. If you would have told me 2 years ago that the Braves were going to draft Carter Holton, I would have been thrilled that they got him in the first round of the draft because I thought that highly of him. Big curveball that he had early on in his career at Vanderbilt, but he is taking steps back in his career. Now, this last season, he was banged up a little bit, so he can miss some time here or there. Still had big strikeout numbers, the best strikeout numbers of his career, 12.7 K per nine, 98 strikeouts and 69 in a third innings. But he's seen his ERA go from 3.14 to 4.11 to 5.19 this past season. Now, if you listen to me on here a lot when I talk about the college environment, it is very offensive friendly right now and has been for a couple of years. Maybe that is part of it. So maybe the Braves taking a chance on a guy who has been really good in the past, has good strikeout stuff, but maybe just and I apologize for that. That's the problems of recording here live and late at night. Lost my voice there for a minute, but getting back into Carter Holton, it's a guy that, again, I was very high on early in his career at Vanderbilt, taking some steps back, but somebody that maybe has a potential for the Braves. And it's a left-handed pitcher, so if things don't work out, obviously still has a lot of potential as a reliever. And this is also likely a pick to save some money. You're, as we discussed earlier, probably going to have to go over slot early on for Cam Caminiti. That's not going to be the last time that I do that for Cam Caminiti, you're probably going to have to go over slot. So Holton is a guy that you probably get at least at slot value, if not a little bit under. So maybe this is one of those picks where you can try to save a little bit money in order to pay for Caminiti. But still, Carter Holton's a guy. Look, I think if he can get back to his early career at Vanderbilt, get healthy, maybe there is a little bit of upside for him from the left side. And again, big strikeout stuff this past year. So again, I don't want to completely just dismiss Carter Holton here. I would have loved to have his teammate Bryce Cunningham, but he went, I believe, about 10 picks before this to the Yankees. But Carter Holton here is the pick at 62nd overall. Is again, maybe one of those picks for the Braves are looking to save a little bit of money. Now let's get into our Minors Monday segment. We'll start with our top prospects. AJ Smith-Shawver, 3 2/3 innings, no hits, 1 walk, did hit a batter, 1 earned run, and 3 strikeouts as he tries to ramp things back up. Now in that start, he was perfect through 3 innings, came back out for the 4th, walked the first batter, hit the second batter, got 2 outs, was taken out of the game, and then one of those runs came around to score an inherited runner. So good stuff from AJ Smith-Shawver, again, working his way back. Hurston Waldrop hasn't pitched anywhere since June 16th, and I'm starting to get a little worried about Hurston Waldrop. We heard he was going to be shut down for about a week after he initially went on the injured list, and we have not heard from him since. So hopefully nothing major there. If you know something, let me know. But I haven't heard anything about Hurston Waldrop for a month now. Spencer Schwellenbach, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts versus the Padres in his last start. 8 games started now at the big league level. It's a 4.43 ERA, a 1.16 whip, 41 strikeouts in 44 2/3 innings, a 3.53 expected ERA. You look at prospects, and we're getting to a point now where we can't label him as a prospect going forward. And I'm going to update my top list here for the second half of the season. A lot of these guys, unfortunately, are injured, and Owen Murphy and Cade Keeler. But you look at prospects in the first half who have surprised the most, risen up the most. See Doc's card saying Schwelly is the real deal. I think Schwellenbach, maybe more than anybody, has seen his stock rise. Look, I loved him in the offseason. You can go back and listen to my breakdown of him. I had him ranked as the 4th best prospect in the system, and really you could have put him 3rd because I had J.R. Ritchie in front of him, but he's obviously coming back from Tommy John surgery. But I was really impressed with Schwellenbach. What I saw in the offseason, I thought he had the chance to be a really good starter. But he's even been better than what I thought he could be so far. And again, that's with some of the struggles we've seen at the big league level. I think he has been one of the most impressive stories for a Braves prospect this season, making the jump from AA to the major leagues, handling himself like he has, getting through 7 innings in San Diego in his most recent start. I'm really impressed with Spencer Schwellenbach. It has me feeling much more hopeful for the rotation going forward, as you're now looking at a rotation next year that Chris Sale, this is assuming Max Fried and Charlie Morton are gone. You're talking about Spencer Strider coming back, Chris Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, Spencer Schwellenbach. You got AJ Smith-Shawver, you got Hurston Waldrop, you got Bryce Elder still here. I mean, coming into the season, one of my biggest concerns was, what does the future of this rotation look like? Schwellenbach's answering one of those questions for me. And, obviously what Sale and Lopez has done is answered 2 more questions for me going forward. So starting to feel a lot more better about the future of this rotation. A lot of that has to do with what we've seen from Spencer Schwellenbach, who is still just learning at the big league levels. He doesn't have a big track record of pitching. He's a reliever in college. He had Tommy John surgery after getting drafted, only threw 65 innings last year. So he's one of the biggest stories prospect-wise for me so far this season. Now, I mentioned J.R. Ritchie, who I had ranked as the 3rd best prospect in the offseason because he was really rising up early last year before he got injured. And now he is starting to ramp things back up. 5 innings. He's at Augusta. But 5 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 7 strikeouts in his latest outing. I'm really excited. I want to watch that start just to see if the stuff is back to where it was last year when that velocity was really starting to tick up into the upper 90s. But J.R. Ritchie, again, just glad to see him back out there. Glad to see him performing well. Nacho Alvarez had his worst week at AAA, 2 for 15, did hit another home run, but no walks to 4 strikeouts. I mentioned Perdomo's been on the injured list. Hopefully he'll be back in the second half. Cade Keeler out for the year with Tommy John. Luis Guanipa, 5 for 17 at the FCL level, 2 triples a homer, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a stolen base. Hopefully we see him up at Augusta in the second half of the season. Drew Hackenberg, another rough start as he makes the adjustment to Double-A. 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 earned, and 3 strikeouts. So those are your top prospects. I feel like I also need to go ahead and just mention Drake Baldwin right now, and then we'll get into the prospects at every level. Drake Baldwin, 3 for 10 with a double and a homer at Gwinnett this past week, but then he went to the Futures game, hit a home run there, had another hard hit as well. So he is really starting to impress with that power. And I'll be honest, Drake Baldwin's somebody, he wasn't, in my top 10. I've never really loved the swing that he has, but you can't deny the results, and he is getting it done. He is putting up some big exit velocity numbers. Could he be trade bait at this deadline? We know the Braves like to trade their catching prospects, and they do have that wrapped up for a while with Sean Murphy. Or could he be the replacement for Travis d'Arnaud? I think that's something interesting to watch as we get towards the trade deadline here. Could Drake Baldwin be on the move? I know a lot of people love him, think he's going to be a big time hitter for the Atlanta Braves. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I think that'll be interesting here again, getting up to the trade deadline. As his stock seems to be rising, could be a sell high candidate for a prospect in Drake Baldwin. All right, next we'll go through each level, tell you about the standouts from this past week. Again, a lot of pitching standouts for the Atlanta Braves as they continue to just draft and develop starting pitching. We'll get into all of that here next. Been telling you about Game Time for a while. If you're not already using them to buy tickets to your next big event, I don't know what you're waiting on, because they are the best ticket purchasing app out there. It's what I use for all of my events that I go to, all my Braves games that I go to. I just use the Game Time app. It is so easy to use. You get killer last minute deals. I love the fact you get all in prices up front. You know what you're paying before you get to the checkout screen, and you get the view from your seat. Never buy a ticket to a baseball game unless you know what the view from your seat looks like, know where that sun is setting as well, especially in these hot summer days. And again, you can see all that in the Game Time app. They also have their Game Time guarantee, which means you'll get the best price guaranteed. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, let's get back into our Minors Monday segment now. We'll go through each level. Yuli Gurriel, 7 for 16, 3 doubles, a home run, 2 walks, and a stolen base. This guy continues to steal bases at 40 years old. Just pretty incredible there for Yuli Gurriel. Alan Winans, 10 and a third innings. He relieved A.J. Smith-Shawver, I believe on Sunday it was. Only 8 hits allowed, no walks, only 1 earned run, and 4 strikeouts. He just continues to dominate at AAA. I know most people think he's probably a 4.8 pitcher. Look, he can come up and make some spot starts for you if you use them strategically, start them against some of the worst offenses in baseball, kind of like what they did with Bryce Elder a couple of years ago. 2.74 ERA, a 1.10 whip, and 82 innings at Gwinnett this year, just a 219 average against. I still think Alan Winans, will have some solid starts for the Braves if needed. Daysbel Hernandez, 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, and a save. I think he'll also have a place in this Braves bullpen when needed. And Zach Logue, he's a guy that's kind of under the radar, had a pretty good season at Gwinnett. 5 innings, 3 hits, did walk 3, but just 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts. At Mississippi, Cal Conley, a bat I've kind of given up on, but he's really picked things up lately. 10 for 24 this past week, a double, 2 walks, and 7 stolen bases. Geraldo Quintero, 7 for 14 with 4 walks and a stolen base. Justin Dean, 6 for 22 with a double, a homer, 3 walks, and 2 stolen bases. On the pitching side, Luis Diavila, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 11 strikeouts for the Atlanta Braves, or for Mississippi rather. Drew Parrish, I want to say he's been on this list every Minors Monday this season. He's just been that consistent on the mound. 5 innings, 6 hits, no walks, 2 earned, and 7 strikeouts. David Fletcher, 8 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. You couldn't give the man one more out. I mean, he's a knuckleballer. Just let him throw a couple more knuckleballs to get the complete game. But 8 2/3 innings for David Fletcher on the mound. Ellison Joseph, 3 innings, no hits, 2 walks, no earned, 4 strikeouts. Certainly a bullpen arm to keep an eye on. And then Ian Mejia, 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. At Rome, Kevin Kilpatrick was 6 for 21 with a double, 4 walks, and 3 stolen bases. Good to see him get going again. Ethan Workinger, 4 for 16, a home run, 4 walks, and a stolen base. Mitch Ferris, he gave up 7 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings, but he also struck out 11 batters. So had to mention that despite giving up the 7 earned. Luis Vargas, 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, a walk, 1 earned, 9 strikeouts. Giancarlos Lara, haven't been able to say his name a lot this year. Hopefully we see that more in the second half. 5 innings, 4 hits, a walk, did hit a batter, gave up 2 earned runs, but struck out 7, and what was his best start of the year so far. Blake Burkhalter, another pitcher that's working his way back from injury, 4 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 1 earned, and 6 strikeouts. And then Ian Anderson, 4 1/3, 6 hits, no walks, 2 earned, 2 strikeouts. So again, a lot of pitching in this Braves system. They're so deep there. They continue to just draft and develop pitching. And I talk about all the time, it's just super important to have that because pitchers are ticking time bombs. They're going to get injured at some point. And so you need to continue to have pitching that can come up and contribute in some way. Even the Alan Winans, the Bryce Elders of the world, you need pitchers to help you get through 162. And you can always use these guys in trades. I mean, they went out and traded for a Matt Olson, for a Sean Murphy, despite having one of the worst farm systems in baseball, because they continue to draft pitchers, and everybody needs starting pitching. So again, the Braves got more coming on the way. But finishing up down at Augusta, Cade Kern, 7 for 19, 3 doubles, 2 walks. Luis Sanchez, 7 for 22 with 3 doubles and a stolen base. Didier Fuentes, another arm in the system you got to keep an eye on. 5 innings, 5 hits, a walk, 1 earned, and 7 strikeouts. Tyree Thompson, 4 2/3, a hit, 3 walks, 1 hit batter, 7 strikeouts. Davis Polo, 3 innings, 1 hit, no walks, no earned, 4 strikeouts. And then for the FCL Braves, a lot of interesting hitters here to keep an eye on. Junior Garcia, 7 for 11 this past week, 4 walks and 3 steals, a 19-year-old outfielder. He's slashing 311, 429, 439 on the season, 4 doubles, 3 triples, 2 triples. I'm having trouble seeing this time of night. 3 home runs, 21 walks to 38 strikeouts, and 12 stolen bases. Mario Baez, 5 for 13 this past week, and John Gill, another name I've mentioned a lot, just 3 for 11 this past week, but 7 walks and 6 stolen bases. He's an 18-year-old infielder, slashing 275, 399 this year. Not a lot of power, 8 doubles, 3 home runs, but 28 walks to 32 strikeouts with 25 stolen bases. So certainly a name to keep an eye on there. A little bit of news. I mentioned it already. Max Fried added to the All-Star game. So he'll be going there along with Ozuna, Lopez, and Chris Sale. Sale obviously unavailable. We'll see if Lopez and or Fried pitches in the game. Got the Home Run Derby coming up on Monday night. Ozuna in that. And you got the All-Star game happening on Tuesday. You also have day 2 of the draft on Monday and then day 3 of the draft on Tuesday. Again, we'll be covering that here on Locked On Braves. Saw Joseph's recap saying that Honeycutt almost landed our pick. He went 22nd overall. So the Braves almost got Vance Honeycutt, but I still think they would have gone with Caminiti at that point, the high upside arm there. Again, thank you so much for joining me here. I know this is late night. Voice is kind of giving out a little bit in there. You did have the Phillies messing with the stream early on as well. We were able to battle through that. And we got Laro, Bond, Little E, Joseph recap, SoCal Brave, Braves Thrills, Jeffrey Humphreys, reminding people to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for that. David Nicaragua as well joining the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here late night. Again, Braves take Cam Caminiti, 24th overall in the MLB Draft. We'll have more draft coverage coming your way later this week. That'll do it with this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're new. Hit that thumbs up button as well so others can find us, and then make sure you follow us on social media at ShortstopBall, at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.